Hello, everybody. So let's finish the last leg of our project here. Go ahead and start a new assembly and get it saved. You have to save it before you can bring a part in. And then we're coming up to place, and then we're going to bring the body in first. Click one time. If you click more than one time, then it'll just keep bringing them in, and we don't want that. So right click and hit OK. Now we don't want this to move all over the place, so we want to ground it. Right click on it and click on grounded, and you'll notice that it no longer moves. It just kind of makes things easier in the long run. So let's go ahead and bring our next part in, and we're going to go ahead and do our cow catcher. Place it, right click, hit OK. Now I'm going to use the free rotate to get the orientation correctly here. It just makes it a little easier for me, and I can just rotate around it. So we need to insert the pegs on the back side of this into these holes here. We need to do 2 pegs. We can't just do one, otherwise it'll just spin around that one that we've inserted. So let's go ahead and go up to Constrain and do Insert. Now we want to touch the 2 edges that need to touch. So let's go ahead and click on this one. We're going to rotate around, and then we're going to select this one that's right up against that face. Looks great. Go ahead and cancel so that you can kind of rotate this down so we can see both locations again. And click on Constrain, Insert, click on this one, rotate around, and here we go. Let's go ahead and hit Apply and then Cancel, and when we rotate this around, we can see it's not moving anymore when we try to drag it off. Looks great. The next thing we're going to bring in is the stack. So go ahead and bring your stack in. And we are once again going to use that insert. So click on Constrain, Insert, and then select the 2 here that you're wanting to insert it. Hit Apply and then Cancel. Now this is still rotating, but that's okay because it's not affecting anything. Next, let's go ahead and bring in a wheel. Let's bring in 2 of them. Right click and hit OK. So on this one, I'm going to free rotate this one first to get it in the right orientation. Now, just like before, we're going to go ahead and do Insert. And we need to click the 2 sides or the 2 points, the 2 edges that are going to touch each other. So I'm going to go ahead and click this one. And I'm going to rotate everything around. And I'm going to click on this one. Oh, it did not keep my first one, so let me select this one more time. And here it is. Let's hit Apply. And then you'll see it's still rotating, but that's the only way it's moving, which is perfectly fine for now. Let's go ahead and rotate this around. I'm going to go ahead and set this one up as well. And that way we can do the exact same thing. Constrain, Insert, I'm going to click on that edge. I'm going to click on this edge, hit Apply. There we are. Fabulous. So I'm going to go ahead and we need to do one more constraint because I don't want this rotating quite yet. And actually, I'm going to take that back. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a pattern to bring both of these back one more. Now, I do not recall the distance between these holes, so that's one thing we need to go double check. So if you go to Tools and Measure, I'm going to go ahead and just flatten this out. I want to measure from this hole to this hole, and it shows it's 3.25. If you look over here, it actually shows center on center is 3.25. And then there's a minimum and a maximum, which would be the minimum between here or the maximum from the outer points. But we're going to focus on that 3.25. So let's go ahead and come back up, and we're going to do a pattern. It's asking what do we want to pattern. Make sure you get both of these in here. And then we need to tell it what direction and relative to what. So let's go ahead and click on here. And you need to choose an edge and then put on here 3.25. hit OK. And that looks great. The next thing we need to bring in is the axle peg. So let's go ahead and come in here, click on that, hit open. Now we're going to bring 2 of these in, and we really should have brought these in, inserted them in these front wheels, and then did the pattern to the back. And we can actually still do that. What we need to do though is we need to drag these on top of that pattern, because they can't be after, because then we can't include them in something that happened before. It's like going back in time. So I'm just going to drag these up on top of here because we can modify this pattern to include it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this around so that it's the correct orientation. And we're going to use the insert. And I'm going to choose this edge. And then I'm going to rotate this around. And then I'm going to choose, let me zoom in, choose this edge here. And you'll see how that went in nice and smooth. Hit apply. And then I'm going to choose this edge. And I'm going to choose this edge. Hit apply. And here we are. So let's go ahead and modify that component pattern to include those. Right click on it and do edit. And then we're going to select these additional components and hit OK. And you'll see how they're back there now. That looks fantastic. The next thing that we need to bring in is the link arm, So we're going to bring in 2 of these, 1 for each side. Right click and hit OK. And then once again, yeah, you guessed it, it's going to be the insert command. So we're going to insert, and it needs to sit right up against this. So we're going to click on here. And then I'm going to go ahead and choose this one so that it wraps it. That looks great. Hit apply. And then we're going to go ahead and come over here. I'm going to actually hit cancel and kind of move things around a little bit here because I really need this to be able to line up. So let's see how we can do this here. It keeps snapping it back. Okay, so one thing we need to think about is when we did a pattern of these wheels that came back, it's going to keep them in the same orientation. So everywhere that this peg comes out, this peg's going to be perfectly lined up for it. And that's not the way these parts were actually set up. That's the reason why we have this gap here. They're not lining up. So what we need to do is we need to insert these 2 wheels on their own. We can keep the pattern with the bolts because that's not going to change. So let's go ahead and edit our pattern once again. And this is how it works, you guys. You kind of go back and forth. And let's see if it's going to let us eliminate components. This program is pretty temperamental. No, it's not. So let's go ahead and just delete this. And we can fix this. It's not a big deal. Okay, let's go ahead and bring in 2 more wheels. Let's place them. And it's going to be quick to insert them because, oh my goodness, we have done so many inserts. We'll be very quick on this. So let's do insert. I want this one and this one. Hit apply. Let me rotate around. This one and this guy right here. So see, that was super quick, super easy. Hit apply. And we can still do a pattern on these. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So I want to pattern these again. And I'm going to use this edge. That works. My distance was 3.25. There we go, and hit OK. So we're right back where we were. But now we'll actually be able to attach these 2 guys here. So let's come back to our constrain. And it's going to be insert. And we're here. And I'm going to rotate around so that I can see this edge right here. There we are. See, nice and pretty. Hit apply, and then let's go ahead and do the other side. Let's get these attached. So I'm going to click first on this one, and then remember we want the edges that we want to touch. Hit apply, and then do the same thing here. We have this one, and then I'm going to need to rotate this around so I can see this backside. There we go. So even though we did have a goof up with those patterns, oh my gosh, look how fast it was to get them back in place. Easy peasy. Okay, now let's come up and we are going to insert the axle peg. No, it's not that one. The link arm pin. There we go. Insert the link arm pin, hit open, and we need to actually put 4 of these in. We can't do a pattern. Well, we could probably do a pattern along this edge right here, but I don't want to do any more patterns with these parts that are moving. So let's go ahead and put 4 of these in. And using the insert, we know it's going to be super, super quick. So constrain, I'm going to go with this edge right here, rotate. I'm going to go ahead and just pick one of them. Look, nice and smooth. I'm going to go ahead and pick this edge. That one. This one, move it around. Let's go ahead and go with this one. And then this one up here. There we go. Perfect. All right, it looks like we only have one more left, and that's to stick the magnet here. So let's come in, let's find the magnet. Okay, let's go ahead and do, gosh darn it, another insert. We have this here. I'm just going to rotate it around. I really could have picked from the other side. It would have been fine. Hit apply. And then I do believe we have the hitch pin that we need to bring in. Yep. So let's put this here and hit OK. And we'll just do that insert one more time. And this is our last move for putting together the assembly. There we go. And here we have our completed train assembly. Great job, you guys. Congratulations. You finished your first assembly.